Have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on in your head when you click that Buy Now button? I mean, it seems so simple, right? But behind every single purchase, there's this whole hidden world of psychology at play. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the invisible forces that are actually driving our decisions. All right, so first things first, let's dive right in by taking on a huge myth, a misconception that pretty much all of us have about ourselves. This idea that we're perfectly rational shoppers. I want you to just think for a second about the last big thing you bought. Seriously, be honest. Did you break out a spreadsheet and compare every single feature? Was your final choice based on cold, hard data? We all like to believe we do that. We tell ourselves we're driven by pure logic. But what if that's not the real story? Well, according to a pretty big survey of over 2,000 decision makers, this number right here, it tells a very different story. It reveals the real engine behind our choices. And spoiler alert, it isn't logic. Yep, over half, a full 56% of our final purchase decisions are fueled by how we feel. And when you think about it, it makes total sense. You're not buying processor speed. You're buying the confidence that your new laptop won't crash on you. You're not buying thread count. You're buying the pride you feel when you look at your home. It's like our emotional brain is driving the car, and our logical brain is just in the passenger seat, trying to read the map. Okay, so if our emotions are behind the wheel, where are we actually going? Well, it turns out that pretty much all of our emotional buying decisions are taking us in one of just two basic directions. And it all boils down to this really simple but super powerful idea. Every single purchase we make is a journey either away from some kind of pain, like buying new software to finally escape the nightmare of paperwork, or it's a journey toward pleasure, like booking a vacation to chase that feeling of adventure. It's always either escape or aspiration. And that's exactly why you'll hear people say this. Because at its core, a buying decision isn't about getting a new thing. It's about deciding to change your current situation. You're actively trying to move from a state of frustration or want into something better. So, if we know we're driven by emotion to make a change, what's that little nudge that actually pushes us over the edge? Well, psychologists have identified what they call buyer switches. 5 specific triggers that convince us, okay, now's the time. Let's break them down. First up, we've got the solution switch, and this is all built on a classic truth you've probably heard before. People don't buy drills, they buy holes in the wall. And that really is the key. We don't really care about a product's features all that much. What we really care about is the outcome, the result it gives us. So this switch gets flipped the moment we stop seeing a product and start seeing the answer to our problem. It's that aha moment. But, having the perfect solution isn't quite enough if you don't trust the source. And that brings us right to our second trigger, the trust switch. This one is huge. It's all about credibility. Our brains are just hardwired to listen to experts. This switch flips when we feel like we're getting genuinely helpful information, not just a slick sales pitch. It's when we truly believe that person or that brand has our best interest at heart. And that deep feeling of trust, a lot of the time it comes from something even more personal, which is a perfect segue into the connected switch. At the end of the day, buying is a very human thing to do. So it just makes sense that we'd rather buy from people we actually like, people we feel a real connection with. This switch flips when we feel seen, when we feel understood, when it feels less like a cold transaction and more like a partnership. Of course, even if you trust someone and feel connected, that little logical part of your brain can still start sounding the alarm. To quiet that voice down, we need the evidence switch. This trigger is for that inner skeptic that lives inside all of us. It gets flipped by hard proof. We're talking verifiable data, glowing testimonials, real case studies. This is the ammo our logical brain needs to finally feel safe and sign off on what is, at its heart, an emotional decision. Now, those first 4 switches, they can take some time to build up, but our final one, the event switch, this one can flip in an instant. This is when the world basically makes the decision for you. Your computer suddenly dies the night before a huge deadline. A new regulation gets passed that could mess up your business. All of a sudden, the need isn't just important, it's urgent. This switch creates this powerful, undeniable push to find a solution right now. So, okay, we've got these 5 powerful switches. But here's the catch. They don't work in a vacuum. How effective they are depends completely on where a buyer is emotionally, on how ready they are to actually make a change. You can think of it in 3 feeling stages. A cold buyer doesn't even know they have a problem yet.
Then they become a warm buyer. They're aware there's an issue and they're starting to look around for answers. And finally, you have a hot buyer who has a burning need and is actively trying to solve it now.
And what's really fascinating is how the key question in their mind evolves. A cold buyer is just wondering, why should I change at all? A warm buyer is asking, okay, but why now? And by the time they're hot, the question is super personal and focused. I need to solve this, so why should I choose you? Understanding this emotional journey is everything. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it isn't just about understanding how selling works. It's about understanding how we work. This knowledge is really a tool that can make you a much more conscious and empowered consumer in your own life. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Whether you're on the buying or the selling side of things, you're interacting with emotions first and logic way second. Just remembering that is key to navigating pretty much everything. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. The very next time you're about to make a purchase, just stop for a second and ask yourself, what feeling am I really buying here? Am I buying a product or am I buying confidence? Am I paying for a service or am I paying for peace of mind? The answer, well, it just might surprise you.